Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts. And so this is pre-market prep for Monday, February 3rd. Usually do these for about an hour, but I am getting over a cold, kind of had a bad sickness, body's been aching, but that's over, but now my voice is struggling a little bit. So this might just be for about half an hour. It's a pretty exciting day to be going over the charts because, as you guys all know, there have been the Trump tariff wars going over the weekend. Bitcoin's been crashing, altcoins crashing even more. So yeah, I just wanted to go over, the basic charts here, and then as my voice allows, I'll go into some other ones. And so I was trying to get in the habit of starting on the SPY and SPX, but I've got to take a look here at the UVIX. So this is the 2x long VIX futures ETF. This is the one that I like to trade. I currently have just a few shares of it, so nothing too crazy. But as you can see here, looking at the 4-hour chart, I have been following kind of these, what I like to think of as like 2-week cycles where it goes up and then 2-week cycles where it goes down, which is kind of BS. They're not, fit perfectly or anything, but I do feel like, about every month there tends to be a big move to the upside, and then it's just kind of boring, or there are small moves the rest of the month. And so, yeah, I just kind of like to look at it as, there's a period where it's a good time to be adding and then a good time to be considering about exiting. And so this is the 4-hour time frame. I usually do look at this on the 1 day and thinking about it on this time frame, as I did have this pulled back. Last night, I was thinking about, hey, when we had this big move up to almost 200, it was $199.70 hit on August 5th. I was thinking, well, we kind of seem like we might be at a point in the market where we get another massive move down like that. So I was thinking, getting greed in my eyes. Hey, good morning, Sandy. How's it going? I was just thinking that, we might be getting into another time where we're getting up to around 200 with the UVIX. But then, thinking about that, thinking about greed, thinking about how we just had this 1-for-10 reverse split, this move to around 200 was actually a move to, divide that by 10, around 20. And because there are reverse splits with this ETF, I believe that's because of contango, that as futures are traded, that the price diminishes. At least, I don't really understand contango that well. I just understand price goes down. And, I'm just not that interested in understanding the nitty gritty of that. And so, but the importance of it, applying it here, is that it seems very unlikely that the UVIX will be going back to 200. And so I was thinking, well, maybe 100. But then again, because this has been fading over time, just look at it historically. This is just bleeding down to zero with these reverse splits. So I don't think that we are going to be going up to, even $100. So I started to think, well, my average is around 28.68, I think. Maybe I could get a 2x. So that would be around a little bit above this red line here at $55. That was, let's see, I guess I'm not sure exactly why I have that level marked there. Perhaps, yeah, I'm not sure. It's probably just an arbitrary level, $55. Did intersect pretty nicely with this uptrending yellow line. So, I was thinking maybe that's a level that's reasonable that it could get hit. So I placed a limit sell for my shares at that price before I went to bed last night, thinking maybe it gets filled, maybe it goes up to 100, but I don't want to be greedy. But as we all know, we're not up to 55 or even 40. Pre-market trading around $33 right now. I'll switch over to the 1 hour or 10-minute time frame in a second. I just wanted to point out this blue line here, which was a previous gap that has been filled, $40.70. Also, there is this purple downtrending level did act as resistance over here on January 13th. So maybe around 40 is a reasonable level. So for me personally, I believe I should have an alert placed at $40.90. It's not showing up there. I'm not really sure why. I'm gonna have to check to make sure I actually did place that. But if we do look over at the, let's see, 10-minute time frame, we could see that the high so far in the pre-market is 34.45. And, it's kind of not looking too strong at that point. So I feel like if it does get up to 40, let's see, do I have an alert? Nope. I'm just going to make sure it's on my phone. I must have not saved it. Let's see. So price above 40.09. That's where I have an alert. I am not sure why it's not showing up here. Maybe it's just processing too much data. There should be an alert there, and that is for UVIX. Oh, it should be. It's on my phone, so I don't know why it's not up here, but whatever. Yeah, so, I want to leave the possibility of this going up above $40, but if it does get up there and it looks like things are starting to bounce in the market, maybe that's a good time to take profits. But yeah, to be honest, am kind of disappointed in this spike in the UVIX that we're seeing, in the drops that we're seeing across the market. I was expecting more. So yeah, maybe this pulls back down to this orange line around 30, or maybe this white uptrend. I feel like I pretty recently drew that. I had to have been back here. Let's actually look at the daily time frame. I need to zoom in there. Yeah, so, we hit this, low $27 on the 24th, moved up, then, potentially forming this uptrend, broke below it, found that as resistance, and now we're trading above it. So maybe we hold that as support. But I feel like 30 is probably a level for us to be holding if we do pull back some. I do think that we're overall seeing an overreaction in the market. Trump did talk about tariffs. He's implementing them. It's just kind of a surprise, a shock over the weekend, seeing how Canada's responding, and also China, Mexico. And so I think it's good for me, I am trying to be patient, trying to pump the brakes. I was adding to altcoins, just really getting up to levels that I wanted over the weekend to move them into cold storage so I can forget about them, taking advantage of dips, because I was very slowly dollar cost averaging, and by dollar cost averaging, I mean dollar a day averaging into positions, but they were green. So it's like, well, I'm just going to remove those DCAs, wait for things to be below my average. Some positions got below my average, and, now they're off exchange and I can forget about them. So anyways, as I'm talking a lot, I'm getting a little bit fuzzy in the head. I still do have that cold, so I should probably move on. I'm just going to switch over to the VIX. That does not have pre-market trading, so it will be very interesting to see how this opens. I think that this will be spiking above 20. We'll see where it closes. Closing above 20 is kind of, getting into some more volatility. Over here on the 27th, we closed at 17.90, did wick above, $20, hitting a high of 22.50. I think with this, though, we could be, this is, talking about this trend line that I had drawn here on the UVIX. This white trend line, that's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It's pretty insignificant, just a few days. The VIX, though, look at this trend line. This is based on the low from December 6th, also getting a touch on December 24th, respecting that as support, but then breaking below it following the 15th of January, where we tested again on the 16th, broke below it. Then we got a move above it. Doesn't seem to be as significant, but I think we could be trading above it, and so that's going to be around $18. So I would look for it to be opening above 18, holding above that, and maybe this starts to act as support. But generally, the VIX, the UVIX, I don't think they're good long-term holds. I think they're good just for swings, for hedges, and the downside moves that we're seeing. A lot of the sell-off that we're seeing in crypto, kind of starting to see a bounce already. So also in the stocks, they were down much more last night during the overnight trading than they are in the pre-market. So yeah, I don't think this is going to be as bad as I was expecting. But yeah, $18 for the VIX. I think that's going to be an important level to be considering. So keep an eye on that. And let's see. We did have this low here of 1485. Or sorry, not this low. That was a gap. We did hit a low on Friday the 31st of 1490. So nearly filling that gap. Thanks, Sandy. Yeah, I'm like partly why I didn't. Sandy's saying, don't forget you're number one, so please take care of yourself. And I appreciate that you mean that as in I myself am number one, not as the number one market streamer. So yeah, it's been crazy. You know, I took a Rona test a couple days ago, a nose swab, which can give false negatives. I got a negative, but the 2 days prior, felt, back aching, body in pain. Usually when I get a cold, it's just, sinuses, throat, nose, whatnot, congestion. This, full body aching, sleeping a lot, reminded me a lot of having COVID. And I tested negative. Doesn't really matter. My work policy is just like you treat COVID like you're sick now. So no incentive to really prove that I have COVID to get extra paid days off. Yeah, so I tested negative. I'm not really too concerned because, I feel better. It's been less than a week. It's just my voice and stuff, and lightheadedness if I talk too much, which unfortunately streaming, making videos is nothing but talking. So I think that I'll be fine after this stream. I'm gonna be relaxing the rest of the day. I'm off the next 2 days, so and I didn't work too much over the weekend because of the not feeling well. But yeah, so with the VIX 1485, keep an eye on that, but I think 18 is probably a level we'll be opening around, if not above. And then, yeah, let's look at the SPY and look at the 10-minute time frame. I'm pretty curious to see. This came down to below 600, down to $589.66. If I say some funny numbers like that, it's probably just because I'm a little bit slow in the head right now. But yeah, that was just 10 minutes ago. If I would have started on the SPY, we would have seen that massive wick down. And I think, this is something that I just shared a video from, used to go by Roaring Rico, but now is Wyckoff Theory, I believe, or something related to Wyckoff. He posted a video last night. I shared it, talking about volume analysis and seeing, this big move in volume when there's kind of this big move down. Let's think about that volume. Actually, I probably don't have enough capacity up here right now to be thinking that deeply about it. But, we see this big wick down, lots of volume behind it, but we actually close higher. So that tells me that, while I would think that this is fading, those were just some options alerts that, I need to replace orders, basically. Nothing going on with that. With the chime, if you heard it. But, seeing this move down in a lot of volume, that tells me that actually buyers are stepping in to push this higher. So the sell-off is not backed by this volume. It's supported by buyers stepping in. So that's actually a good thing for the market to continue higher. And actually, I, was not going to be going back and forth too much. I do want to pull over to, let's see, I think I already have it up here on the channel, a video that I did talking about Grok, asking Grok about the future. And so I talk about the stock market, I talk about Bitcoin and crypto and memes. And so in that video, I basically just feed Grok a thesis that I have about trading below a long-term uptrend, and does it make sense for the market to continue higher? And maybe Grok just is confirmation bias, but since we're trading below an uptrend, I think it's foolish to be calling a top, especially when considering the 4-year Bitcoin cycle. I think that this year is when we form the top. I don't think that we have formed it yet. I think that we're going to be forming that top between May and December. And then we might start to see some pain the following few years of the Trump presidency, whether it's related to him or just going into other stuff. I don't know. I don't have an opinion about that. I'm really just thinking about, are we looking at the stock market and relating that to Bitcoin? Or perhaps maybe we should be taking a look at Bitcoin and relating that to the stock market. And so I think that we will be continuing higher the rest of the year. And I think that we're just seeing opportunities right now. But also, I don't know where the bottom's going to be. So I think it's good to be cautious. I've removed a lot of my buy orders. I did buy, I think, 1 share of AMC at 305 just to, get that fill. But, I just kind of want to take my hands off the steering wheel and just take a look at what's going on once the market opens. And so, with SPY trading now below $600, it looks like $593. But it is above this 50% level. So so gap down. So I was zoomed in on that a little too much. So we could see pre-market gap down. I think what we might see, I don't know. I think that we're going to see a gap down, but I think that we're going to see a recovery just like we saw on August 5th. I think that there's nothing to be panicking about, but I also don't think it's a good time to be chasing a falling knife, or at least if to be chasing a falling knife, to be doing it strategically, or to be chasing the dip strategically and not spread so thin across all positions. I think it's good to be, kind of hyper focusing. What looks good, execute that trade, and then, move on to the next one. And so, with the SPY gapping down, I'd look for an open around 593. I think that's what we're probably going to get. Maybe we get a dip down to like 590 and then maybe a bounce up. I think that we could be filling this gap perhaps today. But we could also just be falling knife bleeding lower. To be honest, I have no idea. I have not experienced a tariff war, a trade war that looks like what we're seeing going on right now. I feel like there's probably going to be some pain for the U.S. as a result of this, but I think that there's probably going to be more pain for Canada, China, and Mexico. And so I think that it's kind of like maybe a negotiations tactic or to be bringing more back to the USA. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know. So this is just maybe there's some reassurance in that, I don't really know, but I'm not trying to chase things. I at least, was buying the dips on altcoins over the weekend, but not so much right now. And if we do look at the SPY on the daily chart, 593, this could be testing 590. It could be retesting this yellow downtrend. So, this is not something I have not talked about. This is not, the world is ending type of scenario. We could even be getting down to the base of this parallel channel, which could be around 580, not the end of the world. So that's what I would be looking for. But it will be very interesting to see how this opens up and how this trades today. So tomorrow's pre-market prep will be very interesting. So very good for me to be resting my voice for that. And then let's just look at the SPX. I kind of map this out very similar to the SPX. So I think that this is going to be dipping down to below 6,000. I think it's going to be around 5,950. Could be getting down to as low as 5,900 or even lower, maybe getting down to around 5,900. So do consider that. Bitcoin, let's look at this. I'm excited about this one. Did get a break of this downtrend. This could be a fake out break of the downtrend. So, it's good to take advantage of dips, but good to not chase them too heavy. So for me, I have a daily dollar cost average of just $10 for Bitcoin. You do you. I'm just sharing what I'm doing for me. And that gets filled at 9 a.m. Eastern. The kind of dip before the market opens because people are buying the dips. I think today could actually be a selling once the market opens. So I may not be buying the dip there, but it's only $10. But just to get a little bit of the action here around this downtrend. But yeah, if I look over at the 1 hour time frame, came down to what it looks like as low as 91,000. Maybe I want to actually look over at TradingView on this. So I'm just going to go over here to TradingView. Do I have Bitcoin pulled up? It looks like, let's see, look over at the, do I want to do the, I'll do the 1 hour time frame because I don't necessarily look lower than that. This is, around 91,000. But we're putting in lower lows here. We're not breaking above this downtrend. So this could very well be a dead cat bounce. So don't be surprised if we go below 91,000. Don't be surprised if we go below 90,000. And, it's good to be in a position to be able to buy the dips. And that doesn't mean throw everything at the dips. That means kind of DCA. Be able to buy the dip, but also be able to buy the dip if it dips again. There's been the memes lately of, I think Obi-Wan saying, buy the dip, and then Anakin screaming as his legs are chopped, his legs and both arms, I guess, are chopped off, and he's on fire, and he's screaming, with what? So good to be able to position oneself to be able to buy the dip, to not be chasing profusely. And like I said, I was buying the dips on some altcoins over the weekends so I could move those out of my exchange into cold storage so I can forget about them. Could I be buying the dip more heavily on those? Yes, but I have less conviction in those than I do in Bitcoin. I have less conviction in those than I do in ETH, than I do in Dogecoin. And I would say Doge is probably higher than ETH. And so, on these dips, I want to be more aggressively, or at least less passively, buying the dips on Bitcoin and Dogecoin, at least for me, for myself. Otherwise, I'm just going to be letting, the daily dollar cost average orders get filled, getting my averages down, not getting emotional, at least not anymore, because I moved the ones off the exchange that I want to. And I think that this could be going lower. It's possible it could be going into the 70s. So, I'm trying to think about that like, let's look at Dogecoin. I don't need to get into too technical stuff with Dogecoin. So I'm just going to pull it up over here. And so, with this, it's down to a quarter again. I'm excited about that. But it was down to 20 cents. This is not a breakout from this downtrend here. So this could just be a dead cat bounce. So, while it's 25 cents, I was 2x about when it was at 32, 33 cents. Now it's way lower. It's like, dang it, I should have sold some up here to buy back more here. But whatever, I didn't. And that's because my conviction is that I think that Dogecoin will hit $1 sometime this year, at least getting back above its all-time highs. But I don't know how that's going to happen, and it could go back to 10 cents before it gets back up to 33 cents. So, while this is on sale, 25 cents, maybe it's worth doing like, a $10 DCA, but then that's it. After that point, then sit on hands or take the hands off the steering wheel. I tend to go like this. That's kind of how I think about it. So it's like hands off the steering wheel, but sometimes people, grasp that steering wheel. So maybe good to sit on the hands and then, wait for those DCA orders that are, so with Dogecoin, I think I have a $5 DCA, and that is placed with Robinhood, which gets filled, around 6 p.m. Eastern. That's fine. I'm just going to chill with that. But because that's my normal DCA. And so what I might do is kind of paired with my Bitcoin DCA that gets filled at 9 a.m. Eastern. I might just do another Doge DCA, $10 or something. Who knows? But yeah, this It's not breaking out. It's still in this downtrend. So I think 20 cents. And if Bitcoin goes to, 70K, 75K, let's say 80K, let's not get too carried away. Then, and actually, yeah, I mean, I got this gray box here, or this not gray box, yellow box, whatever it is. I got these Fibonacci levels, one at 86 potential, level to be buying the dip. So maybe that's a good level to be placing a limit buy at. Beyond that, 78, that is the 50% retracement. And then maybe we want to put up, let's see, that's the, okay, yeah, so the 382 is 86. So let's add the 618. That's around 72. And that corresponds with this box here. So yeah, I mean, I think these are all levels to be prepared for, whether that's just by chilling, whether that's by placing limit orders around these levels, just so maybe they get filled, maybe they don't. And that's not a throw everything at limit orders, maybe just a $10 like DCA limit order, maybe $100, however you want to trade it. You do you manage your risk. But yeah, I mean, I think Bitcoin could be coming lower, and we do have, higher high here in the I was going to say stock price. In the Bitcoin price here, we do have lower highs in the RSI. That's bearish divergence. I do think that we are in the middle of the year following the halving, which I think is associated with the parabolic moves to the upside alt season. So if this does come back down that low, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think that's just dip buying territory. So I think it's good to be planning for that. And so let's also, look over here. I'm going to look at this on the daily again. And so here, yeah, I mean, we did, sorry, I'm not the best with TradingView, but I think this is better data as far as opens and closes with Bitcoin. We do have, while I do have this downtrending level here, this purple line, we do have higher highs for the daily price of Bitcoin. And with that, we have, even going back to here, we do have lower highs in the RSI. That's bearish divergence. So we could be seeing some pretty massive breakdowns. And so I think that's good to, think about time frame. For me, my time frame is May through December. I think that's when we're, is take profit time frame. And so February to May, I think that's a discount zone. And if we're seeing all of this red here, maybe we get 7 red candles. Right now we see 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe we got 3 more days of pain. Maybe we need to wait until Wednesday, Thursday, before we start to see a bottom with Bitcoin. I think that's great. I think it's a dip buying opportunity. But with the consideration of, not when am I getting paid next, but, May through December, so I think I made some emergency. I need to drink some. I'm getting a little lightheaded. I feel like I'm getting lightheaded because there's so much oxygen coming out as I speak. Not enough going in. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, so I think that there are just, some levels to be paying attention to here. And, 89,000 here. That was the low. We haven't even hit that yet. So very little to be panicking about here. Yeah, I mean, I also did want to, before I check out the comments, a couple other stocks I didn't want to go over, but I did want to go over, as kind of being my routine. Uranium, this is ticker symbol URA. I had talked about, this being a potential rising 3 methods. It's not falling three methods. And so it's not perfect, but we effectively started to get that on Friday. So we had this big red candle, got some inside bars starting to reclaim those gains, not getting up to fill this gap. Then we get a bearish engulfing candle on Friday the 31st. So this looks like it's starting to play out as a falling 3 methods, which would then suggest this purple line is potential to play out, where this could be coming down to $25. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that that's just really, really interesting. Let's look over at the 1 hour time frame, and let's see. I don't want to auto. I'll get that auto fixed there. And so I'm not. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we saw this big red here, and then kind of consolidation, which is like this purple line going sideways, and then now we're starting to see those gains be taken back. And we're back, at this purple doodle that I have there around 2764, which coincidentally, pre-market, you can see it up there, 2764 is exactly that 50% level. Miraculous, no idea that would happen. But yeah, I mean, I think that uranium could be coming lower. I think it could be coming down to 25, if not 2450 or so. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that there's some dip buying opportunities with that in the future, not right now. And I think that uranium is really good for the country. I think it's really good for the U.S. I think that this, whoever you voted for doesn't matter. I think that patriot or being patriotic has different connotations now. And, don't think about that, affiliated with any party or anything like that. It's just being proud to be American. I'm proud to be American. And I think that America has a lot of work to do to build up its energy infrastructure, whether that's renewable, whether that's green. It doesn't matter what perspective you're thinking about from that. But I think that we need to do a better job building up our energy infrastructure, and nuclear is going to be a key component of that. It doesn't matter what side you're on, doesn't matter what party line you're on. That's just a key fundamental part of that. It's not going to be only wind. It's not going to be only geothermal or solar. It's not only going to be Bitcoin. What energy is going to go into Bitcoin that would then create energy from the heat and whatnot from that. And it's not only going to be oil and gas and coal. We do need to phase away from that. But part of my understanding of this tariff war is that, the U.S. is going to be drilling more for oil, which, I think is somewhat, unfortunate, but I think it's, a necessary thing for us to be doing, to be driving prices lower. And, I think that, I'm not a geopolitician. I don't understand all of that stuff. But my understanding is that drilling more on U.S. soil brings more control to the U.S. Same with tariffs, but it also puts a lot of cost burden on us. And that's how you kind of get the balance with oil, drilling more. And I think that's just a harsh reality. If we're not drilling here, we're drilling elsewhere. And by we, I mean humans, not Americans. We drilling here as in Americans drilling here. And, we as a people around the world, because we could then be selling our oil outside of the U.S. But yeah, I'm getting a little bit lightheaded talking so much. But yeah, I mean, I just think that in order to, I just think that America needs to build itself up more. And and that has nothing to do with tariffs, as far as what I'm phrasing it right now. It has nothing to do with trade war or who's president. We just need to build up our energy infrastructure. We need to work more at home on that. Nuclear is going to be key with that, especially with AI, the high energy intensive demands, especially with Bitcoin, high energy intensive demands, especially with the electric grid, electric vehicles, energy diversification, diversifying away from ICE vehicles, which ICE probably has a negative connotation right now, but that being internal combustion engine vehicles. We need to be not getting away from them necessarily 100%, but veering away from them, building up infrastructure for electric grid. And I think that's going to come a lot from uranium, from nuclear power. And so, yeah, I think that this is going to be coming lower, 25. And I don't necessarily think that URA, I have heard that the way that the funds in this ETF are allocated are done poorly. I don't know. I just wanted to track this ETF to get a general idea. I did want to look at OKLO because I know that like the Bronx Viking and Colin Gladman have been talking about it, and they've been talking about massive gains. This, I think, is a good lesson here too. They had been talking about massive gains. I wasn't looking at this chart at all. I was only looking at the URA. But, this is ugly, But this was a bear flag. I'm actually going to draw a little bear flag there so we can see it. Little bear flag there. And if I connect this, I might do it. Actually, I'll just leave it there and then I can, actually, no. I'm going to connect it to what today will be once the market opens. But I'm just going to leave it like that. And so I can adjust it. But that to me was a bear flag. We have this, moves talking about what Rico's talking about from the Wyckoff analysis. We see price going up, but volume is going down. We see then volume go up as we get this bearish engulfing candle. So that move then to the downside is backed by volume. This is a bear flag. This looks weak, supported by volume. Down move here, supported by volume. This is not a good look. Okay, so this is all that I was paying attention to. But then looking at OKLO, this is why, if you're following people, I think that the Bronx Viking and Colin Gladman are great. But I don't think that people understand how to follow them. And you have to go with the trades, not follow the trades. And so they're talking about, I know that Bronx was bragging about this being at all-time highs. And that's great because he was calling the move from here to here. And that's played out, okay? And so since that's played out, this is now going to be coming to the downside. And also, before I look at the pre-market data, I want to look at the chart here. I think there's a really good lesson here, which actually relates to Palantir, which I also want to talk about, which also relates to GameStop, which is old news, but I think it's a good example. So I'm sorry for not acknowledging the live chat, but I can't be doing everything, and I want to make sure I make points so I can share what I'm learning, and hopefully you guys can learn from it. Otherwise, I'm just going to be going back and forth on all sorts of stocks. And hopefully there's kind of a trend here. Look at this, double top. Okay, what do we see? We see a higher high. Okay, we see a higher high on the daily. What do we see in the RSI? We see a lower high. Okay, that's bearish divergence. What do we see with this higher high? We actually see a open higher than we closed. So that's negative. As we do start to move up, is that backed by volume? Volume was high here on this sell-off, so that's not really a good sign, but then volume diminishes, so that's good. We start to go up, but volume's not really increasing as much as I would expect for it to get back up to here. I would expect volume to at least be where it was over here on the 24th, which was volume of, it's right in front of Ed's face. It says 36.78 million, right there for volume that day. Then the next day we get a sell-off, 43 million, boom. That doesn't look so good, but we get a dead cat bounce. Exactly what I was talking about with URA. And then here, we have lower volume as that starts to move higher. That suggests that it's weak, but volume is increasing weekly, very weak. And then here, volume continues to increase, but this makes me think this big move that we see here is not supported by volume. It's not supported. Actually, I can't get to the RSI because there's no bearish divergence there yet because that would be related to Friday. With this volume, this big move is not warranted by the small amount of volume. Here it says it's light volume pushing that up. It's weak hands pushing that up. Or I should say dumb money or retail pushing that up. And so from that, we also see volume here as we're getting up to the highs here. Volume 34.33 million. Whereas over here, it was 36.78 million. With this big of a move, we have less volume. That makes me think we're going to be topping. And then we put in this big wick to the upside that's not backed by volume, lower volume, suggesting weakness, lower RSI. That is bearish divergence now. That does not look good. And so this move had played out. If you played it, from let's say $30, that's like a 50% move to the upside. So congrats, that was a nice play. If you're doing options, that was an even better move. I wasn't doing options with this. I had wanted to, but they were just too pricey for me. And so, yeah, now let's look at what's going on in the pre-market. I'm going to do the 10-minute time frame. And so we can see, yeah, gap down. So 100% there was 39. This is coming down. 37.83 was the low, now around 38. I'm going to switch over to the 1 hour just so we have a little bit more of what I was looking at. Yeah, double top there that I was just talking about. Higher highs in that. And then let's see, in the RSI, it actually doesn't look as bad here on the hourly. This looks like it's kind of flat in the RSI, but let's look at that volume here. More volume over here, and it's, been picking up, inching up, on those days that I was talking about. But then not so much. Now it's starting to sell off. So, yeah, this looks like this definitely doesn't look as bad as URA. But I think that we could be seeing a pretty big sell-off in this. And so like 38, I do my analysis. I do my drawings on the daily. So I'm just going to pull back to this. That is, right around here, 38 or so. That could be retesting this uptrend, this bigger picture uptrend that I have drawn here, which I guess I did this analysis a while ago. I'm not sure when, but maybe it's coming into support around 38. I don't know, but this was definitely suggesting a top was in, and URA definitely does not perform as well, but this makes me think it's going down to 25. And so if this is going down to 25, I could see this coming down to 30, OKLO. So keep that in mind. This was not looking good, not backed by volume. And then so with that not being backed by volume, I sold my 1 share of Palantir last night. I shouldn't have done it because it's not down as much, but it was not necessarily that I thought Palantir would be selling off with earnings coming up. Who knows? It's just, I don't want to have the risk on the table. I sold my 1 share at like 78. Pre-market is trading around 80. And, if I do 1 hour, this does include overnight trading. But yeah, I sold, it's not even on the chart. I think around 78.20. Whatever. I just think that I just wanted to have more cash on the side. And, don't want to fall in love with stocks. My one stock that I'm in love with is Tesla, and I'm not going to sell that one. If it does come back down to my average, which I don't think it will, then I get more. And even if it doesn't come down to my average, I get more. But I just want to have some cash on the side. I made money with Palantir, so that's good. I also sold my 2 shares of Rivian at break even. Just don't want to have the risk. And so, yeah, looking at this on the daily, what I wanted to look at, this was actually pointed out by Colin Gladman during his video, which I shared. I'll pull that up on the channel from my posts. This is Rico's video. I recommend checking that out. This is one from Colin Gladman. I recommend checking that out. And to get to that, you can just go to the posts. Or I thought it was the community tab. Maybe that's how you'd see it, but it's posts now because I don't have any more shorts because I don't really make them. But yeah, these are some videos I would encourage checking out. But yeah, looking at this, he was talking about with earnings being here, also, getting up to the high over here, talking about volume. It's like, well, I should, for my own practices, kind of consider, how's volume looking relative to the top over here. To the high on this day, The volume's higher, so that's good. But considering this volume, this big move here, not so much, not as good. So yeah, I mean, with the big wick, this level here, it's actually like, there are multiple kind of, 82 has been kind of a pretty notable level of resistance. I can actually go back to over here, the high of like 80. That's been some notable resistance. So, I just kind of wanted to take the risk off the table with the tariff stuff going on, with earnings. It's fine. I could be sitting on the sidelines for this. I'm fine with that. But yeah, this volume just didn't seem so encouraging with the wick to the upside. Also, Rico putting out a video on volume and stuff, Wyckoff analysis. I should focus more a little bit on that. And Colin did point out the possibility of, if we do get a pullback on Palantir to around 82, 83, that could be potentially putting in, a left shoulder here. This is slightly higher than over here, so that could be a head. And so, the possibility, I do have an alert of 45, and I believe Colin talked about, I don't know if he said 45 exactly, but around, the 40s for Palantir. So, that kind of matches, not necessarily my analysis, but my risk analysis, my thesis in managing my risk. So, if it did come down to 62, my average that I had, one share at 69, I'd be red. So what good does that do? And there's kind of a saying, I don't know who's saying this. I think it was from the All In podcast, possibly, those who sell first do best. Because then, those who sell when the market opens are not doing as good. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to take that risk off the table. But speaking about this double top here, wicks to the upside, I did want to pull up GameStop. This is one that I did not act on, and I should have. I regret not acting on because, to be honest, GameStop is one that I trade. I was, trimming up here, not selling a lot, trimming up here, but I kind of stopped trimming over here. But I regret not, trimming would have not been so much. But just taking a little bit off the table so I can more comfortably buy down here. But seeing this double top, Richard Newton refers to this as cat ears, just because he doesn't take technical analysis too seriously. Technical analysis, fumble with my words there. He just kind of has fun with it. Double top, and we see, over here, volume being lower. That is, a sign of weakness, that this is a double top. And that is going to be breaking lower. Just a few days later, totally broke lower. Now trading in the 25s. So I didn't act on that. I should have. And looking at this on the 1 hour time frame, yeah, we are hitting a low during pre-market. So overnight probably hit lower, 25.30. No idea where this is going to go. So be prepared for it to go lower. And don't be chasing falling knives. And I think a good way to not chase falling knives is by nibbling. I had this level here at like 26.15. I did have, an alert at 26.26. I did not get my fill at 26.26 over here because I did have a buy because it hit a low of 26.15. That's a blessing in disguise. I now have an alert here at 25. Let's look at this uptrend, or these uptrends. Roaring Kitty's average, 23.41. Maybe that's something to be paying attention to. Maybe we get back to there. So yeah, I think that there are going to be some dip buying opportunities. Good to not be chasing. And since I am looking at GameStop, let's look at AMC real quick. I did have an order filled during the pre-market at 305. We did hit a pre-market low of $3. For me, my analysis, my thesis that I posted, so I'll just share that as well. My videos, let's see. And I actually probably shared it more recently. I kind of stopped doing AMC coverage, my 2-month AMC thesis. So this is valid until the end of February, until proven otherwise. But that will be invalidated if we do get a gap fill at 291, which I suspect we will see today. But, we have not seen that yet. It's my analysis based on the market, so not pre-market, after hours, or overnight trading. This is my analysis is just based on the daily. So if we get a fill of this gap, I'll do a follow-up video on the technical analysis. That just suggests to me that we're more in the buy zone, but the thesis to the upside has weakened. I feel like it's much less likely to rally up to 20 right now. So take that with a grain of salt. I think that gap is going to get filled today during market hours, but maybe not. We'll see. And so now that I've covered all of that stuff, I'll look at the comments. I got about 10 minutes left. So yeah, Sandy, yeah, cheers to you. Thanks for looking out for my health. And Sandy is saying that she bought some AMC at 296 overnight trading in Webull. So congrats on that. For me personally, I've just lost a lot of conviction in AMC, and I'll go over that in a technical analysis video on AMC. I'll try to just very summarize it in the technical analysis video, which I'll do that video whenever we do fill this gap during market hours. But that's really just following up on the announcement of dilution here, selling dilution at 368. And, I just don't think a CEO should be bragging about selling shares at this green line, which we had not seen this entire time consolidating for 6 months, which has been so painful. And so, I've lost a lot of conviction in this. I'm sorry. I don't want to be holding a company that CEO is going to be bragging about selling at this price. But that's not to say that I want to be selling right now. I want to be buying right now. But that's to say that I feel like it's much less likely that this gap up here gets filled. And it's all about time frame too. In the span of a year, I feel like 20 is still on the table, but I feel like it's much less likely. And so, my average is now it's above 9, between 9 and 10, closer to 9. And so my conviction in holding to 20 is much lower than it was before. And so I planned to taking some risk off the table up here. I do plan on still continuing to hold some shares, but taking a notable amount of risk off the table once we get up there. And that's just because, I don't want to be continuing to work my job to add to AMC over the course of years. I want to quit my job so I can trade on a weekly basis as my income. And so AMC is not doing it for me, unfortunately. And so I'm not necessarily bearish on AMC, but I'm less bullish about it getting up to, this gap up here, these levels up here. I think that these are kind of fantasy land, but maybe not. And if you want, now is the time where I'm going to make fewer AMC videos, but I'm going to, be straightforward in my analysis on them, my perception. And I just feel like I'm less confident this getting up to 20, but that doesn't mean I'm not confident in getting back up to 12. But I think that, we all got to be managing our risks. And if you want to be holding this for years more, sure, diamond hand it. But if you want to be managing risk, just like what I was talking about with GameStop with the cat ears or the double top, that was a time you could have trimmed some to buy back more lower. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's playing the charts. And I think that is giving retail an edge against the hedges, the market makers, the nefarious actors who are trading against retail, who's dumb money, who doesn't know how to trade these technical levels. And so you can trade as dumb money, or you can have an edge. I'm trying to have an edge. And so I think right now, like what Sandy's saying, yeah, I think now I just think it's good to also be managing expectations that we might be down around $3 for months. So if it's for me personally, I just got paid on Friday. If it's okay, I just got paid on Friday, I'm going to throw everything into AMC on Monday once the market opens. Okay, but then what are you going to have to buy over the next couple weeks? And so I think it's good to manage that expectation. And so for me, what I'll probably do is rather than buying like I was doing like 10 shares at a time, I'll probably do 1 share a day of AMC at this point. So I bought one at 305. I'll probably get another one today, maybe at 291. I don't have an order placed. Don't necessarily plan to place an order. We'll see how the market opens. But yeah, just to do kind of boring DCAs, one a day, very, very boring to get that average down so that, I'm taking advantage of the dips. And then, when it does get higher, I can take risk off the table. And for me personally, because I want to be focusing more on my personal trading and I want to focus more on a sustainable schedule for videos that are reinforcement for my education, reinforcement for you guys, and are not just chasing stuff, which I can have a little bit of that too, but I probably don't have enough time and energy to do that on top of work. And so, yeah, I want to be getting into a position where I can be trading to make money, doing YouTube for fun, and to reinforce my education, our education, and then to not have a 9-to-5 job. My schedule is going to be changing soon. I'm going to have a weekly rotation where I work first shift and then second shift. So 1 week first shift, then the following week second shift, but that won't come into effect until March. But I'm happy about that because I've been hating working weekends and not having enough energy working 12-hour days to make videos. So I think that'll be better for the channel. There will still be some inconsistency, but I'm going to try to do pre-market prep every day. It just won't be a live stream every day, but that's the same as of right now. So no big deal there. So I'm just going to continue with the comments. See some from Sean. Sean says that he didn't vote for Donald Trump. I voted so I can complain. Dump is a nightmare. Yeah, so for me, in all honesty, I for various reasons, if you're curious, and I'm not trying to get into politics or anything, and I think this will further support that, I didn't vote for either candidate, and that's actually who I voted for. I wrote down I did not vote for either candidate. You could probably tell from my background, having been an oceanographer, a climate scientist, if you will. I come from a Democratic background, but I'm definitely not really in the Democratic Party anymore. I'm registered as a independent, and there are a lot of things about Trump's campaign, about his presidency that I'm excited about. Just for me, I have talked about this with, I think, ex-girlfriend about a year ago. I thought there was a possibility we might rekindle, and I was talking to her about Biden, how he's just too old, and I felt like the only way that I could see the Democratic Party winning at that time was if he were to step down because he's too old, Kamala were to take the reins as the first female president, which I think would be great, and then we could evaluate how she's doing, and she could run as the incumbent. And if she were to run strongly, she could then win as the incumbent. But clearly, she was like incompetent, worse than Biden, I feel like, in a lot of ways. And so I feel like the lack of primary for the Democratic Party, which I would not have been able to be a part of, was just completely disappointing. And so I'm just completely disappointed by the Democratic Party. The Republican Party has taken some of I feel more confident in that. Trump, I really don't know. I definitely think climate change is an issue, but I don't think it's an issue addressed by. There's a meme about our climate experts are a bartender, AOC, and a high schooler, Greta, and that's a joke, of course, but there is some truth to that, and I think that a lot of it is, in all honesty, alarmism. I think that people are more concerned, and I think the more serious concern is the 2-week paycheck, the seasonal ramifications of climate change or just changes in weather patterns, and that's really what climate change is. And I don't think that we like talking about the world ending by 2030 or 2050 or children leaving school to protest. I don't think that's a good thing. And so, I think that we need to just get back to talking about this stuff. And I think that the better approach to climate change, in all honesty, has been the free market, as we can see with Tesla, as we see with, just all the work that Tesla's been doing with the energy grid and all of that. And so I just think that there's a lot there. The better way to address climate change or just weather emergencies, take climate out of it. It doesn't matter. I don't have an agenda. I just think that the better way to address that is with the free market. And Tesla was able to miraculously do that. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking out this movie. I've got to think of the name, drawn a blank. Who Killed the Electric Car? This is something that I think everybody needs to watch. It looks like you can buy it on YouTube for $4. Same on Apple TV. Who Killed the Electric Car? Let's just pull up this. Dang it, that should be, maybe I just want to get an image for it. Or maybe videos. This look like it's, so Who Killed the Electric Car? Okay, I'm going to click this, but I'm going to put my computer on mute so I don't get a copyright strike or anything. Oh, rent or buy. So I recommend everyone watch this. It is amazing what Elon and Tesla have been able to accomplish. And so actually this is, it doesn't bring tears to my eyes, but it kind of, gives me the feels a little bit. But this is basically about, I want to get a bigger image. That's a smaller image. That's a bigger image. Okay, let's look at that. Dang it, no. I want to look at the image. Dang it. Open image, a new tab. Okay, so here, we can see this. It's still kind of pixelated, but who killed the electric car? The lack of consumer confidence or a conspiracy. And so this is about EV1. I actually got to see these vehicles in person at the Museum of Technology or something like that in LA a few years ago, I think in 2021, following the pandemic, or maybe it was 2022. And yeah, I got to see these vehicles. I got to see the Cybertruck. I got to see Optimus. And there was a whole display on Tesla, super cool, or an exhibit on Tesla. And so the EV1, which is this vehicle here, Arnold Schwarzenegger's promoting it, other celebrities, I forget who. This is a vehicle that was put together by GM, believe it or not, but then they canned it because, it was taking away money from oil and all of that. And they suppressed it. Tesla suppressed all of this stuff. And so I just think it's so miraculous what Tesla was able to do. And Tesla was able to do that not because of, sure, they did get benefits of government incentives, but it wasn't because of a government program. And I just feel like whether it's the Trump administration or COVID, whatever it is just shine the light on the corruption in government. So for me, it doesn't matter what side you're on. If you're arguing about sides, you're missing the picture. The government is corrupt. The government is taking money from lobbyists like GM, like Ford Motors, that are going to suppress technologies like EV1 or companies like Tesla. which was not invited to the EV summit that Biden's administration held. So if you're making the case that the Democratic Party is for green renewable energy, I say that's BS. They are about whoever is putting money in their pockets. Both parties are. And I feel like Trump has disrupted that. I thought that Bernie was going to disrupt that. But now he has talking points that are coming from big pharma, as you can see from the clip from RFK's confirmation hearing, which there are definitely concerns about that. I think that there's a lot of good in vaccines, and I have a lot of current concerns personally about RFK leading the Department of Health or whatever it is, because I think that there are a lot of good vaccines that people need to take, that people should take. And I've been personally negatively affected by a vaccine not being affected by a loved one. And I've lost that person because of it. It wasn't COVID, and I don't need to preach about that, preach about my experience, whatever, with this vaccine. But I have some concerns about him regarding that. But at the same time, I have been having personally a lot of issues with my digestive health because I feel like our foods are just way too processed. And I feel like a lot of the gluten issues that people have been having in the country are because of, all these additives that are in food. Why do we use Red 40 when we could use beet extract or raspberry juice or, whatever, natural food dyes, all of this stuff. So yeah, sorry for this it's effectively a political rant, but it's not really about a party. It's about how I just think that there's so much potential for the free market, and I think that's what we need to lean into. And so, yeah, I'm excited about that. But yeah, I mean, less than 25 minutes before the market opens, and I need to take a pause for my own portfolio, but I'll just kind of look at the other comments. Sean, I'm ready with cash. I think that's good. Just in case the market crashes, Donald Trump may cause major inflation. He may cause major inflation, but he also, I think that it's, putting Canada at their knees. I think also Mexico and China as well. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be very interesting to see this play out. I really have no idea. I think it could be very good for the country long term, for the U.S. long term. I also think it could be very bad. But, I still, my thesis remains this thesis. I recommend checking this video out. I think it's really cool. I talked to Grok. Basically a pitch, a thesis about the stock market, Bitcoin, crypto, and memes, about thinking that they could be, I think that they're going to be going, a lot higher. So, because we're below an uptrend. So I think that this could be really good. So I think that saying Donald Dump, you have a bias. I think you're doing yourself a disfavor. I think that you need to look at just what's going on. Donald Trump, Biden, whoever, I think, it's also when people start talking about, I don't know if I'll get a red flag if I say, yeah, I don't even want to say the word, but just the words that get thrown around, they diminish the actual meaning of the word, and they just don't mean anything. So just work with facts. Donald Trump doesn't do you any favors. I'm sorry to say, it just brings out emotion, and that's not useful. He's the president, so we got to deal with who the president is. Whether you voted for him or not, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. I don't care. Market doesn't care. I believe in clean energy. I do as well. So I've been investing in clean energy, and I own oil companies. Yeah, totally fair to do that. And I think it's good to, I think it's stupid to say wind energy only. We need to be green energy, no oil. Whereas, this whole room that I'm in, so many things are made from plastics, which is coming from petroleum. That's oil. And so to be like, I would not do oil when, all of the foods that we get are delivered to us by transport via oil, whatnot. So it's good to play and understand both sides of these trades. And let's see. Saul saying, goofy morning, all. Yeah, 100%. Charge point. I'll try to look at it real quick, but I'm really not looking at the pre-market trading at all. Oh, the UVIX is going up, so let's see. 1 hour. Yeah, so I mean, I have no idea where this is going to be going, but I feel happier that this is more to the upside. I want it to get up to at least 40.09. There's my alert. You see it there. It was, I think, a little bit overwhelmed before. But yeah, VIX, where are we going to see this going up, opening at the SPY? It's only down 1.5%, coming down to that yellow downtrend. So keep an eye on levels of support. 590. We're basically there right now, 588, I guess I should say. Maybe I should add the 786 to this retracement just in case. I will also take a look at charge point in just a second. But yeah, 582, 583, that's a possibility. But that could be a flush to the downside, dip buying opportunity to there, and then we reclaim that downtrend. So we'll have to revisit that during pre-market prep in the morning tomorrow. I don't want this to become market hour trading or prep, because I need to close this down. But I did want to look over charge point. And as I'm talking for more than an hour now, I'm getting lightheaded. I'm getting over a cold, which may have been COVID. So yeah, I'm just out of breath. And so here in the pre-market down to 91 cents. For me with charge point, for all of my positions, I have taken kind of a back seat. I don't have any buy orders on call options. I'm going to wait for the first 15 minutes of trading to play out, see where things are, and then kind of assess. I'm also going to consider options data. I'm going to do better at considering volume. Very important. With charge point here, we do have this purple downtrend. Now let's look at the daily time frame to kind of get a better look at that. That goes back to over here. Yeah, I mean, that could be where we're headed. So do look for that. And that could be coming down to, I have an alert at 92 cents. I'm going to have so many alerts going off, that like sub 90 cents. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for it to be a falling knife though with all stocks. Looking at this on the hour time frame, this looks a little bit more manageable, a little bit more chaotic. Actually, hour time frame. Yeah, I mean, this is not out of the question. This is not insane. So don't, I think it's good to not chase falling knives. I do think it's good to buy dips as in nibble, small DCA, but not go too crazy with them, because then you want to be able to have some to be able to add a little bit more maybe tomorrow or maybe after the market closes, stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's really good to just do this strategically, have a plan to be able to add not just after close today, but tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, next weekend, the week after, whatnot. And by weekend, that would be for crypto or, to be able to have plans for trading. So I don't really have any buy orders, not doing anything too crazy right now. And for my own personal reasons, I did want to look at LAZR real quick, and then I'm going to wind it down on that. Let's see. I was thinking that this will be sub $5, and this is held up pretty impressively, I must say. And so that when a stock doesn't perform as badly as you're expecting or as badly as the rest of the market, even if it's down, pre-market down almost 4%, as you can see here, if this is not down as much as the rest of the market, that is actually a sign of strength. I was looking for Luminar to be hitting $5 to buy one share, nothing crazy, because I wanted to reevaluate after that and maybe get some more at 450, whatever. But it hasn't done that. And so this is showing some strength. We'll see how it opens, but showing strength here. That is encouraging. I'm going to draw a trend line here, which is not too significant, but let's see, maybe 550 is a level to be considering there. So let's just zoom in on that, and I might make that line a little bit and I just need to make sure that I have the pivot point over here in the after hours trading. So I want to make sure it's day. And so that I think will be maybe more of a resource for daily trading. But yeah, look at that. That is something that I would look for. Maybe 542, 420. Keep that in mind. But yeah, with that being said, I'm just going to catch up on the chat real quick. And so, Cryptomaniac, I hope he raises the tariffs. It looks like he is. The U.S. is in a trade deficit. Yeah, so as I'm not an expert on international trade or anything, so I don't really know how, I can't comment on that. And so I'll be learning about that today and watching videos. I'll share the videos that stand out to me, and I'll actually share some that I will probably be looking at. Sean is saying, maniac prices are already too high. Yes, but we are, following an uptrend. So, like we keep printing money. So we've been printing money. So we've been allowing this to happen following 2008. So, I think that it's like, Bitcoin keeps going up, but the dollar keeps going down. Don is saying there are so many greedy traders right now. Some people think the stock market can just keep going up and up and up. It's not realistic. I think that it can continue to go up for this year, and that's really just based on the thesis on Bitcoin, which is based on this video. I'd encourage checking it out. I think it can keep going higher. I think it needs some corrections along the way. I was expecting more of a drawdown. We'll see. No idea. But whatever it does, money can be made, go in both directions. So good to be nimble. Good to have cash on the side. And then Leonard, can you do the one-man wiggle? I don't know how to do the one-man wiggle, but I will not entertain that because it might make me look bad. But I will point and wave my finger, and I will throw this up at the end. Because, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, more streams like this, more pre-market prep, and more crazy market volatility. Let's hope we have a massive excitement in the trading today. I have no idea what's going to happen. I suspect the dip will be bought up and that any gaps will be filled. So be prepared for that. But also, we may not be hitting new all-time highs. I think we will. Maybe a month down the road, though. I think that May through December is going to be pretty exciting for crypto, and I think that will be reflected across the markets. Alt season coming. Anyways, take care, you guys. Good luck. Trade safe. And, always make sure you have some on the side to continue to buy the next dip. Don't ever go all in. But, of course, not financial advice. You do you.